Yesterday, Blizzard dropped some news that there's going to be some big changes coming to Mythic Dungeons in Season 4 of Dragonflight. They also dropped the 8 dungeon rotation that will be coming in Season 4 of Dragonflight. They are all Dragonflight dungeons. I will have them here up on the screen. But enough of that, let's get right into the video. Dragonflight Season 4 dungeon changes ahead. Dragonflight Season 4 begins with a variety of changes, including new adjustments to dungeons, their progression, and rewards. Here's our player feedback. So us, the community, what Blizzard took from what we've been saying in the forums about the dungeon and how the dungeons run. As a part of an ongoing development in Dragonflight, the development team identified 3 issues to address based on community feedback regarding the dungeon system as it is. So here are the 3 things they found due to us, the community. Heroic dungeons are barely distinct from normal dungeons at maximum level. Yet heroic dungeons are pretty useless. I feel like they're only really useful in the beginning of an expansion, and like right when you hit max level, right, you just do them so then you can start doing Mythic Zeros. Mythic Zero dungeons rapidly lose relevance a few weeks into the expansion once the Mythic Plus season starts, with occasional exceptions for the weekly event quests. Mythic Zeros do lose their relevance pretty quickly within the first 2 or 3 weeks of a new season or a new expansion. You just do them to get gear so you can start getting ready for the Mythic Plus season, right? So, you even have to do Mythic Zeros again. It's just like for the first 2 or 3 weeks, so they're just irrelevant. The only true endgame dungeon mode, Mythic Plus, currently revolves around a timer. This means that other than new mega dungeons, there isn't a place for endgame players who enjoy a more methodical dungeon pacing and gameplay. Yeah, so you're just trying to beat the timer, basically. Especially if you're just trying to gear, bro, you really don't even care about the timer. So it sounds like they might be getting rid of the timer for some part of Mythics. We'll have to see. Given the combination of 2 underutilized difficulties and a gap meeting player demand, we're reconstructing dungeon difficulty and rewards in Season 4. That sounds like a big dub. All right, here are the 3 things that they're doing. Heroic difficulty and rewards will be more up to roughly the current level of Mythic Zero. These dungeons will remain available to queue into via Group Finder, though the item level requirement to queue will also be up accordingly to the new season, right? Mythic Zero difficulty and rewards will move up roughly to the current level of Mythic 8 through 10. This is a bit of a hand wavy numerically. It's close to Mythic 10, but not having a timer at all or affixes really offsets this quite a bit. Yeah, so you'll just be finishing the dungeon much faster, right? And the relevance of how hard it is usually to the affixes and the timer, right? So taking those things away, it's kind of hard to tell what it would actually be in the new system compared to the old one. The existing Mythic Plus system will pick up where it leaves off, such as Mythic 5 in Season 4 is roughly equivalent to the difficulty, rewards, and Mythic Plus rating awarded to the Mythic 15 today. So 5 in next season is equivalent to 15 in today's season, and 10 in Season 4 will be equivalent to 20 in today's season. Basically is what they're saying there. Here's a visualization of change. Light blue circles represent where new affixes appear, going from Mythic 2, 7, and 14 in current world to Mythic 2, 5, and 10 in the new one. So here is an outline or a diagram explaining the changes from now in Season 3 and what it's going to be looking like in Season 4 patch 11.0. So we have normal and heroic, and then you have normal and heroic in the new season. So heroic is going to be basically Mythic 0 in the old one. So in the new season, heroic will be Mythic 0 is the equivalent, right? And then it looks like, see, in the old one, the affix would start in Mythic 2, 7, and 14. It's going to be 2, 5, and 10 in the new season. And it's going to go from what's now Mythic 2 to 10 is going to be what heroic is. And there's going to be no affixes or a timer in this difficulty. And it makes heroic actually relevant now. And you get rid of all those mid dungeons. So if you're trying to find a group for like a 12 and you can't really get any people later in the season, it just gets rid of all that nonsense. And then there's going to be a more rewarding push, it sounds like, because they're more condensed, right? So you don't have to keep doing multiple mythics just to get to the higher ones. It's just going to be a more condensed version, it sounds like, which sounds like a big W, right? So then Mythic 0 in the new season is going to start at Mythic 10 of this season, of Season 3, right? And then so on. Sounds like a pretty good change, Just gets rid of all this nonsense in here. See how this seems unnecessary, and this seems more condensed and more straightforward. And definitely you feel more rewarding from going up 1 mythic, I PvP'd in Season 3, so I didn't start mythics right away. So when I got into mythics, I started at like 12 because my PvP gear was already so you know, ready for that type of mythic, right? No timer like the present. Season 4 changes will apply to all 8 Dragonflight dungeons. As a part of these adjustments, we have a few goals in mind. So here are their 3 goals. Recalibrate core difficulties to align with seasonal player experience and progression. Serve the community who enjoys dungeon content but feels that Mythic Plus content isn't for them due to the pressures of taking part. And create a better environment in Mythic Dungeons to prepare more players to take part in Mythic Plus. They're trying to create a better environment and make actually Mythic Zeros, which is going to be basically 2 to 10 equivalently to the new season and the old season, right? So that's going to be Mythic Zeros. They're trying to make it more important and get you prepared to take on the pressures of Mythic Plus, and you're ready to do the timer and the affixes, right? One of the most notable changes players can look forward to is the removal of timer in Mythic Keystone dungeons. So that's Mythic Keystone, so that's not Mythic Plus, right? For what are current 0 through 10. Players can run through these dungeons at their own pace without the need to watch the clock and still honing their skills. So you're still learning the dungeon and you're still getting gear that's going to prepare you for the Mythic Plus season, but you don't have to worry about affixes and the pressures of the timer. You just focus on learning the dungeon and getting it done and getting prepared for the Mythic Plus season. And yeah, that's really good. That sounds amazing change. Here's a look at what the changes for each difficulty. So normal, it's unchanged. So heroic, the tuning and rewards of this difficulty are increasing the equivalent to baseline mythic. So mythic 0, dungeon in the current system. So big W makes heroic actually fucking relevant. Mythic difficulty changes and mechanics will not be present in this difficulty, so no timer or affixes. And this remains a queuable experience. So you can do this in Dungeon Fighter. You don't have to go into Group Finder. You can just queue it like a regular normal dungeon when you're leveling. So that's really good. The mythic changes. The tuning and rewards of this difficulty are increasing to the equivalent of a plus 10 dungeon with affixes in the current system. There are no timers, affixes, or limitations or changing specializations or talents while in the dungeon. The goal is to create a mega dungeon like difficulty for this experience. This difficulty should present a meaningful challenge and provide rewards without the pressures of current Mythic Plus system. Mythic 0 is on a weekly lockout under this model still. Okay, so that's what Mythic is now. It's going to be basically Mythic 10 today is the new Mythic 0 in Season 4. Mythic Plus. The Mythic Plus system will reward up to level 10 with plus 2 starting from what would regularly be a plus 11 in the current Mythic Plus system. A plus 5 should be as hard as a plus 15 and a plus 10 should be as hard as a plus 20 in the current Mythic system, etc. Affixes would slot in plus 2, 5, and 10, plus 2 for fortified and tyrannical, plus 5 entangling and corporal, plus 10 bursting and bolstering, etc. Dungeon ratings should be equivalent to what they represent in the current system. So your ratings for your Mythic Plus score will be equivalent to the old system. There should be a smaller range of keystone levels to find groups for. I mentioned that earlier. And a more meaningful progression between each level. I mentioned that as well. So big W changes. I think this is really good. It takes out all the unnecessary mythic dungeons and actually makes heroics relevant and actually makes mythic zeros more relevant, right? 2 victors go the spoils. It's important to note that the basic structure of dungeons rewards is not changing significantly. So what we have earned for completing a mythic 0 will be earnable in a heroic difficulty dungeon instead. Here are the basic rundowns of what you can expect. So this is just basically a chart telling you about the item level and what the item level will be in Season 4. I'm not going to go super in depth into this, but it looks like it's just showing you what the equivalent would be. So Mythic Plus and 10 and up is going to be 522 in the new season. I don't know if that's fully mythed out, like rank 4, but that's what you'll be getting with is a Mythic Plus 20 now and up is what you'll be getting for a Mythic Plus 10 and up in the new season. So I think this is some really good changes. It just takes out all the unnecessary mythic dungeons that you have to do just to rise to the top, and it makes it more enjoyable and you actually feel like you're accomplishing something each time you go up a mythic in the new Mythic Plus system. Looks like some currencies here. Crest and Flightstone rewards are changing to match the same difficulty with only one or some minor adjustments. Flightstone earnings for any given Mythic Plus will match the equally challenging Mythic Plus from previous seasons, so that's staying the same. This means that the Mythic Plus 2 in Season 4 will give the same number of Flightstones as a Mythic Plus 12 in Season 3 currently does. The reward will continue to match difficulty and even what we're calling those difficulty changes. Bonus Flightstone rewards for increasing any party member's Mythic Plus score remain unchanged. Whelping Crests are no longer available from Mythic Plus dungeons as those difficulties no longer exist. Players can continue to collect Whelping Crests for many outdoor sources. Players will earn 10 Drake Crests on successfully completion of a Mythic 0 dungeon as there is no timer to beat. Worm Crest will be available in Mythic Plus 2, Plus 5 dungeons, and the same quantities as existing Mythic Plus dungeons. Aspect Crest will be available in any Mythic dungeon, difficulty dungeon from Plus 6 up, and also in the same quantities as existing Mythic Plus dungeons. We believe these changes provide a new opportunity for players to experience Mythic and Mythic Plus dungeons while providing additional changes for endgame players in the future. We look forward to your feedback, and we'll see you in dungeons when Dragonflight Season 4 goes live in the future. All right. Those are some big changes, and I think they all sound wonderful. We'll just have to see how it plays out in the new Season 4 of Dragonflight. I don't know. I don't think there's been an announcement date. Hopefully they do one soon, as I'm looking forward to actually starting Mythic Plus. But I am a PvPer, so it sucks with the Volt because I have to pick between Volts of PvP and PvE. But otherwise, I'm really looking forward to this. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these changes and how you think the season is going to run. Do you think it's going to be more fluid? You'll be able to get into groups easier. It sounds like it, but just let me know in the comments. If you can hit the like, subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.